On this episode of Walk a Mile in Their Shoes, we are at Bingham Creek Regional Park in South Jordan, Utah. And our guest today is Kacei Callaway.
I'm Kacei, mother of two. I'm 27. Some of my hobbies are reading and playing games in my pastime. And I hope you enjoy walking a mile in my shoes.
Hey, Kacei.
Hey, Jared.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
First time here at this park. How about you? Have you been here before?
No, it's beautiful. My kids would love it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely a good park for the kids, for sure. Well, you up for walking a mile, more or less?
I am.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start our little tracker here to keep us in line. So first things first, you recently had a baby.
I did?
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. I'm always curious about, as a parent myself, just kind of the differences between kids and, how similar they are, how the same they are, and, pregnancies and all that, and how that can be the same and different. How would you compare the two situations with because you have an older daughter who's what, 9?
Yeah.
Right. So that's a fairly big gap there. How would you compare the two experiences so far?
So with Maya, it was a lot harder. I was a lot younger, and I had no control or self-awareness over my mental health at the time. I wasn't being treated properly for it at the time. I was unaware of a couple diagnoses that could have potentially saved me a lot. And I struggled. I struggled really bad with Maya's. I never let her see how it affected me, because I didn't want her to end up with feeling like I felt. So I've always kind of shielded her from it. But this one with Kyler was great. I have done extensive therapy, extensive psychiatrist appointments and medications, and I was a lot more older. 9 years is a long time. And I kind of feel bad a little bit for putting Maya through what I put her through, but that girl's been my rock. She has seen me at my highs and lows, and she's never changed her opinions or anything, never treated me differently. That's a lot of what kids do. They love you for being there, and that's one thing that I always promised myself, because my parents left. I would always be there for my kids, no matter what, no matter how I was feeling. I'd put them above all and make sure that they felt loved and secure. And this pregnancy, it's been a breeze. It's been a breeze.
Yeah.
Well, Kyler, he's a good baby. He's a silly little guy. And I had a more, I don't want to say a better team of doctors, but they all joined up, my therapist, psychiatrist, my OB, and all them, to make sure that my postpartum experience would not be near as rough as it was with my daughter.
Yeah.
I got on some antidepressants a couple months before I had him, just in case I had some bad postpartum depression. I'm no longer taking those because my postpartum has been great. I have a lovely support system of people that I didn't have when I had Maya. That made a big difference, having support versus being 18 and alone.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about the differences. Both my kids are loved and well taken care of.
Yeah.
And that's what matters to me.
Yeah. Sounds like you're doing an amazing job. They're pretty fortunate to have you, it sounds like, as their mother.
Well, I've always said thank you to my mother for teaching me what not to do. It's a big thing in my life, is I never wanted to be like the people who raised me.
Yeah.
I always knew that there were better options out there for mental health help, and that was just putting in the work. You can't just go to therapy and expect them to fix you.
Right.
They're not they're not there to fix you. They're there to help you and guide you to fix yourself.
Yeah. Right.
That's a big thing that people don't understand. They go to one appointment and they think that, oh, well, my therapist should have fixed me. I should be better now because I had an hour-long session talking about what I'm going through and I don't feel better. I thought that for a long time. I was like, I went through many a therapist because that's what I was raised. I was raised that people just fix you, you know, and if they don't fix you, then you're SOL. There's no other option.
Yeah.
But I learned along the way after having Maya. So I had a really bad incident with Maya. I was yelling at her. I was screaming at her. And I know that was not appropriate, and I knew that wasn't appropriate, but I had no self-control over my my BPD, and I really just didn't know how to do it on my own, and so I yelled at her. She threw a shoe at my head in kindergarten.
Wow.
And so I just lost it, and I was like, this is my rock bottom.
Yeah.
This is where I need to be better for her and for myself. It wasn't just for her. You can't just change for other people.
Right.
You have to want it yourself.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Putting in the work.
That's right. I love that. I love that you are totally aware about the work that goes into improving your own mental health, because you were spot on. You know, people just kind of expect that, hey, I'm here, I'm sitting in the chair, you know,
fix me,
it's done, right?
Yeah. I'm better now.
Yeah, but there's a lot of work that goes into it. So I think that's awesome that you have realized that and that you're putting in that work. You know, part of that work is kind of those little things that we do every day. You know, those little things that we do to keep our mental health strong. And so I'm curious, just some of those, you know, quote, little things that you do every day, especially in the context of having a new baby, you know, where burnout and survival mode are totally in play all the time, it feels like. What are some of those little day-to-day things that you do to keep yourself mentally strong?
So I did some dialect behavioral therapy, or DBT therapy, for 2 years, twice a week. One was a 2-hour session in a group, and one was one-on-one with the therapist. And I learned a lot of great coping skills and coping mechanisms, which I had no idea they were out there. I had never heard of DBT. I had never heard of CBT, which are both great, wonderful programs that you can get into in therapy. And they're just talking. You don't have to relive your trauma or anything. You actually, the purpose of it is to move forward. And I love that because I don't like living in the past. Some of the things that I learned was to be mindful. A lot of that deals with being in the moment versus being in the past or the future. A lot of people's anxiety is about the future and what has happened to them, and they just relive it over and over every day. But if you can learn to be mindful and live in the now, especially with having kids, it's so important to get those memories instead of just worrying all the time. A lot of what I do is I'll sit, I'll look at my baby and my Maya, and I will just soak in a couple minutes and not think about anything except for what is currently going on around me. It's hard to be mindful all the time. It's hard to live in the present all the time, especially if you have some anxieties or some other things. It's really hard. But if you practice it every day, it kind of just becomes a what's that word? Second nature. It kind of just becomes second nature to you, and you're just able to do it without even thinking about it. That's where I've gotten to. I actually no longer qualify for a BPD.
Really?
It's not a curable thing, but it is. You can kind of put it in remission if you work hard enough. And that's one thing that people don't always understand is you got to work at it every day. Even if you have graduated talk therapy, you're no longer taking as many medications to work on you. You gotta work on it every day.
Yes.
Another thing I do is I kind of, well, I used to before I had this baby, I used to go and take showers and just reminisce on what I could do for my children and what I could do for myself to make life a little easier for us. And a lot of that is just being honest with them.
Yeah.
You know, when mom is sad, you tell them. You don't have to tell them necessarily the in depth.
Yeah, right.
Mom is having a bipolar episode. No.
Right.
You just tell them she's 9. My daughter, my son, he doesn't even know.
Yeah.
But Maya, she notices. She's a very empathetic girl, and that's a good thing, I think.
Yeah.
She notices when mom is sad, so I just sit there and I tell her, if you have kids, you got to be honest with them. You can't hide it forever. And they deserve to know that mental health is a real thing.
Yeah.
And I just take some time and I'll go and just look at the window and, you know, be one with me. If I'm feeling sad, I don't just push it off. You can't just push off mental health.
Right.
Or else you're gonna push it off so long that you're gonna explode.
Yes.
And that is horrible. That is what happened with Maya and the shooting. I just was pushing it back, and you kind of gotta let it happen. Live in your head for a minute. Let these thoughts come. See if there's something that you can either do to fix it, or to change it, or to redirect the thought. And if not, you just kind of gotta let it go. Because if you can't fix it, nobody can fix it. You can talk to your therapist at your next session about what happened and get some information and see what they think, but in the long run, it's all up to you.
Right.
It kind of sucks, but you learn. You learn to just deal with it. And when I say deal with it, I don't mean just, oh, I had an outburst. No. Having outbursts are not okay. You got to know that your mental health and what you're going through is okay, but your behaviors are not. You got to learn to take control of those behaviors and want to do better and be better for you and your family. And that's hard.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
I used to have really bad outbursts. I would hit things. I would scream. I hit my uncle one time.
Yeah.
I learned not to do that really quickly because he's a 300-pound man and he just took me to the floor. But when you have kids, it becomes a whole different world. You can't do that to your kids.
Right.
So you learn to control your behaviors. First things first, get diagnosed. Go to an actual facility. Don't self-diagnose.
Yes.
A lot of people like to do that.
Yes.
You go to someone. It's a 30-minute consultation, and then they tell you. And then from there, you can go to a psychiatrist. From there, you can go to a therapist. Those are the people that are going to help you along the way.
Right.
They went to school. They're trained.
Yes.
They're not there to be your enemy. They're not there to tell you that you're a bad person.
Right.
They're there to help you along the way and give you guidance as you're trying to learn about yourself and learn how to deal with having a mental illness.
Yeah. I love just you've put in an immense amount of work in all of this, and you know, I love how you talked about mindfulness, and just because that's something that you know I'm definitely trying to work on a daily basis, about living in that moment, being present. And that's something that's really missing for a lot of us because we're always just on the go and our calendars are jam-packed. And so I love that's your mindset is being present, being in the moment, you know. So I think that probably has really helped your mental health a lot over the years, just that idea of being present.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I learned it about 2 years ago, and it has been, I at first was like, that's the silliest thing. No one can ever just live in the moment. That's silly. Like we have so much going on that we don't know what's next.
Right.
And my therapist told me, she said, close your eyes, take some breaths. like smell the smells, feel the feels, like is there a breeze? What's going on? And it just relaxed my whole mind, my body, and my soul. And from then on, I've just been living in the moment. Every chance I get, every time I remember it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. Yeah. Well, Kacei, I appreciate what you've shared so far. And believe it or not, we're actually about 2/3 of the way done with this mile. And so I wanted to ask you before we finish, kind of a staple of these types of interviews is, I want to, and you may have already kind of alluded to some of these things that I'm about to ask, but, I'm curious about maybe a time in your life where you were really struggling with mental health. And I'm curious about what you did specifically to get through that stretch and that time, people that you kind of went to, other resources that you relied on. Again, you kind of have touched on a lot of that kind of thing already, but I'm curious about if there's other things that you haven't brought up that where you really needed to dig deep to get through a difficult stretch.
Well, when I was about 18 and pregnant, my significant other at the time decided that he was going to come in at 2 a.m. and break up with me. Right after I found out I was pregnant. I lost it. I was very suicidal. I was going to jump off the house, run into traffic, all the things. All those bad thoughts that just cross your mind. And they called the cops on me. I went to uni for a night.
Uni.
The lady there, she kind of changed my life a little bit. She was like, "You're not crazy." She's like, "I don't know a single person that wouldn't react uncontrollably when that is happening to them at your age." And it kind of just made me feel a little bit normal for a second there. Granted, suicide is never normal. Never the option. Never a thing that should cross your mind. But I know exactly what it feels like when it does. And I really had to, I went home and I sat in my closet and I was like, what am I going to do? I knew that I needed help, but my family at the time wasn't willing to give me the proper help. I was seeing a psychiatrist, but I wasn't the one talking for me. My family they were adults and I was not, and they were telling them what was wrong with me. And he listened instead of asking me what was wrong with me. And I knew the minute I left that house, which was at 36 weeks pregnant, my aunt and mother kicked me out, which was the best thing that ever could have happened to me. And I told the lady that I nannied for that I wanted to go and get properly diagnosed and treated for my mental health. It didn't happen then because Maya was sick. And I struggled for a lot of years with self-control, and a lot of it that helped me was becoming self-aware and realizing that what I was going through was not okay, what I was feeling was not okay, and what my behaviors were not okay. So I had left and moved down to Price, and I was on my own, and I went and got diagnosed properly with my words, my voice. I went through a lot of therapists. I mean, that's something that you are able to do as a person. Choose who you talk to. And if you don't resonate with them, then find a new one.
Somebody else, right? Exactly.
Because you don't have to be stuck talking to a therapist that doesn't make you feel how you want to feel. I went through 13 therapists at least in the past 5 years until I found one. She no longer is here. She has her own practice now, which is great. But she was the one I did DBT with. She was the one that made me feel like I had control over my healing
Yeah.
and my journey.
Yeah.
And then my new therapist is great as well.
Yeah.
He listens and he doesn't judge.
I love that. I love that you, like you said, you didn't just give up. You didn't, because I hear about that often where they try a session, an intake interview, and it's like, yeah, that wasn't my thing. Didn't work. But you kept at it, and you found that right match. Because when we're talking about therapy, that relationship or therapeutic alliance, if you want to call it that, is the most important part, really. Is being able to connect with them and have that relationship. So kudos to you for finding that connection.
Oh, it wasn't easy.
No.
It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people. That's why a lot of people turn to drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
They feel like there's no hope. There's nothing out there.
Right.
My mother did that. My father did that.
Yeah.
Aunts, uncles, everyone did that. And I knew a long time ago that wasn't going to be me.
Yeah.
They left their children. They left their families. All because the drugs gave them something we couldn't.
Right. Right.
And I knew I'd never do that to my kids. It's a lot of where my mental health come from. It's my parents just leaving me.
Yeah.
And people hurting me.
Yeah.
And I never wanted my children to feel that way. So I fought for my mental health. There's not a lot of resources that people know of, which is kind of crazy to me that people don't talk about it more.
Yeah.
There's tons out there. You just have to push for it, fight for it.
Yeah.
But you gotta do the work.
Right. That's right.
They don't just do it for you.
That's right.
They're there to give you the notebook,
Yeah.
give you the layout of it,
Yeah.
but you gotta put in the work. I had homework in DBT every day.
Yep. That's right.
And it was the best homework I've ever done.
Yeah.
It was worth it. I was learning.
Oh, I love that.
I was taking in things that I had never even heard of.
Yeah. That seems to be the theme of our time together today, is just putting in the work,
That really is. That's what you gotta do when your mental health is bad.
Right.
You gotta want so much more for yourself. There is so much good in this world. It's really hard to see when you're mentally struggling.
Yeah.
I fight for it every day. I'm having some postpartum depression. But I just keep pushing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give up on my babies. I'm not going to give up on me.
That's right. I love that. That's an inspiration to a lot of people I know. Well, Kacei, we've actually hit a mile, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But before, I did say more or less at the beginning, and so
we can talk as much as you want.
this will be one of the more sections. Just to end things, for these types of interviews, I always like to ask good people like you what they would say to somebody who is really struggling with their mental health. Can you just add some final words to that person who may be watching who's really struggling right now?
You know what? I can. Don't give up. It's not always going to be how it seems. I know it feels like there's nothing left in this world for you, but you are so important. You matter. And I know you have a beautiful soul underneath all that you're struggling with. It's going to be okay. Just fight. You gotta just fight.
Fight. I love that. All right. Well, Kacei, I appreciate you letting us walk a mile in your shoes today.
Of course.
Thank you
Anytime.
so much. Thank you for being the inspiration that you are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been lovely.
All right. Well, off we go.